There's an elm there. You don't see many of them in countryside these days. Morning folks. I've just set off from the gorgeous little village of Rommelkirk. I'm in Upper Teesdale. Oh, and it always feels like a warm embrace coming back here. I'm currently walking on a lane towards a little hamlet called Hauxwell, H-U-R-Y. Now there is a footpath through the fields over there, but we've just had a few heavy showers, so I don't want my feet getting wet at the start of the walk. And this lane's pleasant enough. And I'm walking the Hauxwell Way. Right, well we're off that lane now. I was glad as well. It seemed to take quite a while walking on there. Interesting though, lots of wading birds, peewits, curlews, oyster catchers, heard a redstart and a cuckoo. So we're in fields now, and I'm heading towards Birk Hatt, which is where Anna Hauxwell lived for most of her life. I don't know if any of you will remember, she first came to prominence, I think it was in the 70s, on a programme called Too Long a Winter. The producer was from Rochdale actually, somebody, Barry Cockcroft I think he was called, Rochdale fella. Anyway, on that Too Long a Winter, yeah, it brought her to the wider public's attention. The hay pasture hereabouts is spectacular. It's a right mix of species. Obviously there's meadow buttercup, but there's earnut, yellow rattle, red clover. Yeah, really, really nice. Now this gate is an important feature in Anna Hauxwell's world, or it was. This is the Iron Gate, and she mentions the Iron Gate a lot. I think I've heard her mention it on telly in her books. I like the Iron Gate. It's got a nice handle as well. I don't believe in ghosts or out like that, but if ever there's a place and if ever there's a spirit where they go together, it's Anna Hauxwell at Birk Hatt. The fields hereabouts, after she moved into a cottage in Cotherstone, took a picture of that earlier. The pasture here were bought by Durham Wildlife Trust because of the way she farmed it. She just did one late mow after the flower set seeds, no artificial fertilisers, so it's a very flower rich habitat. So we're in Anna's barn now, and this, well, just reading on that information board there, this was falling down, but it was done up in 1990 by Durham Wildlife Trust, the little interpretation centre. Right, well it's din-din's time. I've got some crushed sausage rolls that were in the bottom of my pack. There were a couple of plants here that I really wanted to see, and the ferns actually rather than flowers, and I'm told they're here, and I've been here a few times down the years, I've never found them. One of them's adder's tongue, this quite uncommon fern, and the other one's moonwort, a really mysterious fern. Moonwort's an absolute gem. It's probably my top 5 wild plants, and I've only seen it a handful of times, but I've seen it this year in Calderdale. What I like about it, it was prized by herbalists. It's supposed to have magical powers. It was supposed to be able to unlock doors like a key, and it was supposed to unshoe horses. If a horse stepped on it, it was supposed to remove the shoe. Yeah, very, very prized by herbalists and folk like that. I'm just going to say hiya to Peter and Sue, two subscribers I bumped into just down here at Anna's Meadow. I so rarely bump into subscribers, but in a place like this, I was really surprised. That little knob up there, that's Goldsworth. That's an interesting hill. It's got a right nice gritstone cap. I walked up that a few years ago. Well, this is quite nice and a novelty. I'm walking a section at Pennine Way that I've not walked since I did it in 1990. I don't recognise any of it, a long time ago, but it's quite a featureless path over this moor really. Then I'm going over at top and I drop down to Grasshome Res. I should also mention that I'm walking a bit of Alfred Wainwright's Pennine Journey, and I brought that book with me to read his walk from Settle to Adrian's Wall and back, which he did in 1938. In fact, where I've set off from today at Rommelkirk, he spent the night there, and I think it was in the Kirk Inn, and it's still there, that pub. Really peculiar pub, that. If I think on, I'll tell you a tale about it later. Straight ahead there's Mickleton, the highest point in Yorkshire. Just walked through one of them bloody horrible, stinky, rubbish infested farms there. What a mess. And the sign saying walking single file. I'm on a bleeding track here. You could get 5 abreast. Hear them? Redshank. Yeah, redshank. Yeah, one of them farms you can smell like death. Probably a dead sheep somewhere. Peewit, redshank. This bit of meadow's nice. I am a bit obsessed with air meadows, me, you know. I'm really into our ones back home in South Pennines and stuff. There's subtle differences up here. A lot of the species overlap, but for me, the buttercups in the meadow buttercups anyway, in our neck of the woods are taller than round here. What it's to do with, like, I don't know, rainfall or soil depth. So we're approaching the mysterious landmark of Kirkcarrion, or Kirkcarrion, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. And the wind's rustling through the trees, making a strange sound like the enchanted wood. Right, so I'm sat just below Kirkcarrion. I'm looking across to Middleton in Teesdale here, where we're going to descend to in a bit. Yeah, it's a very prominent landmark, this Kirkcarrion. You can see it all. Well, you can see it from Upper Teesdale from that way. You can see it from south. I've seen it from quite a bit where I've been walking today, obviously from the east. Yeah, and the name intrigues me. It's Kirk, that makes you think of a church. So was it some sort of spiritual, religious place? Carrion, that makes you think of death. I think I've heard somewhere that some people reckon it's some sort of burial mound. I don't know about that. Maybe it's just a plantation that stands out a lot from a long way away. I did consider going over at Wall and having a bit of a nosy about, but there's a lot of bracken in there. And it's like tick season in it, and I attract ticks, so I'm not going to go in there. It's full of bracken, there's a lot of dead wood and stuff, so it don't look that interesting anyway. Burial mound or not, I have a right soft spot for Kirkcarrion. It's a real, I don't know, talismanic feature of the area. I used to stop at this holiday cottage just a bit lower down valley. And from it, from front window and front doorstep, you could look across the valley and see it. And I got quite attached to it. Yeah, we used to come up here quite a bit and stay in that cottage. It were dirt cheap. Quite a basic cottage, but it were really dirt cheap. We used to come up either Easter time or about this time of year, end of May. And then there was an incident. And after that incident, we never went again. If I think on, I'll tell you about it after. It's quite embarrassing on my part. I've not said what I'm doing, am I? Where I'm stopping tonight? Well, the town that I'm heading down to here is Middleton in Teesdale. Hang on, path forks here. I don't suppose it matters. Middleton in Teesdale, very well-known stop off on Pennine Way. Good town, Middleton. I like it a lot. So yeah, I'm going to descend into Middleton in Teesdale. I've left the Pennine Way here just for a little bit, so I could detour up to Kirkcarrion. But yeah, I'm going to rejoin it in a minute. Descend into Middleton in Teesdale, and I'm stopping on a campsite there. It's a little backpacking trip again, this. I'm enjoying these. I don't know, I quite like it. I find it quite relaxing. I get to see some different sort of landscapes and wildlife, which I like. So yeah, I'm going to stay on this campsite in Middleton in Teesdale. I'm going to have a little loop round the town first. There's a chippy, I think, if it's still there, so I might check opening times for that. I might get some jockeys.
They'll do something by this cool stuff.
Cheers, folks. Well, it's 7:15. I'm in the tent, as you can see, on the campsite at Middleton in Teesdale. Let me just check my watch how far I've walked today. Hang on. Just shy of 13 miles. Not a massive walk really. But I felt quite all right today. Sometimes when I've not been out for a bit and carrying a pack on my back, I feel a bit knackered. But today I felt absolutely fine. Tomorrow I can join the Teesdale Way here by the river, and then I'm going to follow that south towards Mickleton and then on to Kirk. I think tomorrow Not sure how many miles, not as many as today anyway. I've sort of broadened its back now. This campsite is beautifully located right by the River Tees. And I think I said it on another video, Alfred Wainwright reckoned that sort of from here northwards is the finest section of a Northern England river. And I'm in complete agreement. I mean, it's gorgeous round here, but as you get further up into the upper valley, it takes on a completely different form. What I've found here, sweet cisley. The leaves are quite feathery. It's an umbellifer, a bit like cow parsley, but just scrunch the leaves up, proper strong smell of aniseed. I think it's edible as well. Oh, just while I was filming that sweet cisley, I could see birds were making a funny noise, their alarm call. The swallows were doing it and the starlings were doing it. And I'm looking around looking for a bird of prey or something. And sure enough, a sparrowhawk whizzed through with something in its claws. It were being chased by some swallows and a pied wagtail, so whether it got one of them, I don't know. I've given up on powdered milk. I've started buying these little milk sachets. Is that in focus? Not sure. Anyway, yeah, they're miles better these. I bought a box off the internet for, I think they're about 35 in. I don't know what I paid, but it would now. I'm definitely going to use these in future. It's cooling off a bit now. Although I'm just watching here, because when near the river, there's one or two mayflies sort of dancing about when they go up and down. So, what's with the Anna Hauxwell interest? Well, I first heard of it really when I first got into walking in 1980s. I come across this thing on telly about these kids. Well, I say kids, late teens walking Pennine Way, and it were over 2 parts. Right good it were. I think it was actually made in the 70s, but anyway, I will watch it in the 80s. And they walked through Bouldersdale, came to Lower Birk Hatt, and they met Anna Hauxwell. She was talking to him. And she just seemed a right interesting lady. She seemed a really, really nice person. And then that was that. And of course I'd seen her pop up on a few things. And then when we started coming up here, I like visiting nature reserves and stuff like that, and I went to Anna's Meadow, and I was really, really impressed with it and stuff. So when I came home from that, whether it were via YouTube, it probably were, I started watching all the programmes that she'd been on, like Too Long a Winter, and I think she went travelling abroad. Did she go to Europe? Did she go to America even? I know she went to London, stuff like that. Yeah, I think she certainly went to Europe. Like a fish out of water sort of thing. Anyway, and then I thought, well, I'll buy her books. I think some of them were co-written, and I really enjoyed them. One of them I got off eBay for only a £5, and it was signed as well. And then I'd heard that like she moved away from Lower Birk Hatt to Cotherston in about 1988. So when I did the Pennine Way in 1990, she'd gone by then. She'd moved down the valley. It's a clear and quite pleasant evening. It's cool though. It's been quite nice. I've just been lying in tent reading with door open. I've heard a tawny owl over there, a woodcock's gone over. Got a load of like ducks and ducklings here. I think I mentioned earlier the cook inn at Rommelkirk, and Wainwright writes some interesting words about it. Just listen to this. The Kirkcarrion is not a place of laughter and song. It is forsaken and lonely, and neglect has eaten its heart away. Tragedy broods about the house. Once, I have no doubt, it was the cosiest tavern in Teesdale, but it has at some time received a wound it cannot forgive. For the friends who deserted it then have not come back. It is the quietest inn I know. The silence of its rooms can be felt. The tick of the clock can be heard all evening. Occasionally, a laugh or a shout drifts in from the Rose and Crown higher up the road, but within the Kirkcarrion there is the quiet of death. I opened the door of the inn at 7:30. It was not open again that evening. He goes on to say, I never discovered the secret of the Kirkcarrion. To this day I do not know why it was avoided by the villagers. I came ultimately to the conclusion that the woman had been involved in some sort of scandal, and evil tongues had built a barrage around the place. For a mischievous tongue in a small community is a murderous weapon, and village life is coloured and sweetened and made palatable by gossip. Something else I said I was going to tell you today was about the embarrassing ending to the cheap holiday cottage we used to stay in. I remembered where it was now, just a bit lower down the valley, a place called Dill Top above Eggleston. Right, nice. It was on a main road, but it was high up. Like I said, you could see Kirkcarrion, and at dusk, just before I used to go to bed, I used to open the front door and stand up front doorstep, and you could hear curlews in the fields and stuff. It was really nice. Anyway, what finished that off for us? On our last visit, I don't know what time of day it were. I just happened to be gazing idly out the front window, and out of the corner of my eye I saw this absolutely bloody big bastard spider. One of the biggest spiders I've ever seen in this country. And I'm terrible with spiders. I'm the world's worst arachnophobe. And I leapt back and ran up. It's embarrassing. I ran up the stairs screaming. And the kids were laughing at me. Anyway, Kathy had to get the spider and remove it. And Kathy's fine with spiders, but I think she was taken aback with this one. So that was the end of that. I know we threw this one out. I thought I had a woodcock then. We threw this one out, but that finished it for me. I thought, I ain't staying in a house with bleeding tarantulas. Right, folks, it's just turned 11 o'clock. I'm still supping my wine. Got quite a bit left as well. But Billy Winkers is coming. I'm feeling a bit tired, so as soon as I've supped this, it's my bedtime. So I'll say good night, God bless, and I'll see you in the morning. Good night. Morning folks, it's 8:20 and I'm about a mile out of Middleton in Teesdale. I'm on the Teesdale Way, which I'm following south until I get to a bridge, and I'll cross over and I'm going to head to the village of Mickleton. It's a still sticky and humid morning this morning. A lot of flies. I put my sun hat on, but it's making my head hot, so I might have to take it off. I was talking to a chap on the campsite last night who was telling me it's a big river this, for fishing for brown trout and grayling. Now when I used to fish as a lad, the grayling were the fish I wanted to catch above all. I think it goes by the name, the Lady of the Stream. Beautiful fish. I'd love to catch one. You used to be able to see them from the bridge in Hauxwell. If you looked over the parapet down into the River Wye, you could see grayling. But the last few times I went, they weren't there. And I wondered if it was something to do with people a bit adjacent, chucking loads of bread into the river for the ducks, and there's like these really massive, fat, ugly rainbow trout. I think all that bread has altered the chemistry of the water. good bridge that. I'm sat on this nice rock here that's been polished by countless arses. It's a lovely spot. I think it's a lump of dolerite from the wind sill. Definitely igneous, it's got crystals in it. Flipping raining. It's definitely weren't in the forecast. Did you hear that back there? There's like wild raspberries lining this. I'm on a disused railway line here. Nice easy walk. And even in this light rain, the wild raspberries are humming with the sound of bumblebees. The flowers are full of them. So we've arrived in Rommelkirk now. Really is a beautiful village. I'll show you some scenes of the place. Anyway, before I'm done, we've got one more place to go. Tell you what you do see up here, a lot of these little porcelain graves in the churchyards are a peculiarity to the area. So I've closed the loop. So, nice rock as well, this sharp granite. In memory of Hannah Bales Talentire Hauxwell, 1926 to 2018. Also remembering William Bales Hauxwell, Lydia Sayer Hauxwell, Elizabeth and James Hauxwell, and Thomas Talentire Hauxwell. Now in one of the books that I've got, there's a family tree of Hannah Hauxwells. And it's fascinating reading all the names that weave into the family. So Hauxwell, obviously, Bales, Talentire, that's an interesting surname, isn't it? Sayer. No, it's good stuff.